Good morning, everyone. I'm Hani Liucot, and I'm going to report about global migration, overseas Filipino employment. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to understand the concept of overseas Filipino employment, its history, current status, and trends, identify the common reasons why Filipinos work abroad, know the relevant laws covering overseas Filipino workers, definition of terms. Overseas employment. Employment of a worker outside the Philippines. And the overseas Filipino workers or OFWs, a person who is engaged or has been engaged in a remunerated activity in a state of which he or she is not a citizen on board on board a vessel navigating the foreign seas other than a government ship used for military or non-commercial purposes, or an installation located offshore or on the high seas to be used interchangeably with migrant worker. Introduction. History of overseas Filipino employment. Organized labor migration from the Philippines has been in existence for at least 400 years based on historical accounts dating as far back as the Spanish colonial period at 1521 to 1898, during which natives manned ships in the Manila Acapulco galleon trade. Thereafter, there were several notable movements, mostly to the United States, facilitated by the special colonial relationship between the two countries. However, it was not until the 1970s when the number increased rapidly, coinciding with the instruction boom in the Middle East as a result of the rise in oil prices in 1973 to 1974. From a low of around 50,000 migrant workers in 1975, the Philippines has been deploying more than a Filipino workers throughout the world annually since 2005. It then became a traditional that the Middle East, followed by the rest of Asia, has been the destination of migrant workers. The flow of migrant workers to the rest of Asia, especially East and Southeast Asia in the late 1980s and early 1990s was conditioned primarily by the labor demand of newly industrialized countries in the region, which resorted to labor importations to sustain their economic growth. At present, the number of overseas Filipino workers or FWs who work abroad at any time during the period April to September 2018 were estimated at 2.3 million. One out of four is 24.3% OFWs worker in Saudi Arabia, which remained to be the top destination of OFWs in April to September 2018. OFWs who work in United Arab Emirates comprise 15.7%, Hong Kong 6.3%, Kuwait 5.7%, Taiwan 5.5%, and Qatar 5.2%. Were the other popular destinations of OFWs among occupation groups, elementary occupations 37.1% was the biggest group of OFWs. Other large occupation groups were in the service and sales workers, were 18.8%, and plant and machines operators and assemblers, which is 13.8%. More than half of the female OFWs were in elementary occupations, was 58.7%. Among the male OFWs, the largest groups were plant and machines operators and assembler workers, which is 27.8%. Common reasons. Here are common reasons why Filipino abroad. Poverty. Poverty is an issue for a country like the Philippines. Its effects drive many Filipinos to find opportunities for employment abroad. Ordinarily, If someone could not find a suitable source for employment in his or her own country, then there will be no other choice but to seek greener pastures abroad. Because of these ill conditions, Filipinos were left with no choice but to go abroad, leaving their families the hopes of having better situations. It can also be observed by this reality that Filipinos see hope in other countries, which kind of hope is absent in their own country. Unemployment and low wages, low wages. Unemployment and low wages are prevalent in the Philippines. This predicament is being carried even by the college graduate in the country, more so by those who failed to finish their education. As a result, the Filipino worker will be compelled to search for income opportunities abroad. In demand jobs that normally should have a fair compensation, such as nurses, engineers, accountants, and other professionals, are inadequately paid as compared with the compensation that are waiting for these professionals abroad. Even non-skilled workers such as housemaids and other laborers are well compensated abroad than the professionals in the Philippines. New graduates face the problems of high unemployment rate and less job opportunities, as well as low average salary and benefits offered by local employers in the country. This is not to mention that job competition increases in the country. Given this, Filipino applicants become desperate to have jobs for lower salaries and not enjoy benefits as long as there is security of tenure. In effect, most of the employers and businessmen exploit such situations that keeps their businesses earn more profit at the lowest possible costs.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lonette Oroyan and I will continue to report. Enhancement of professional skills. Filipino also go to abroad for their professional development. This is due to the reality that having a global experience gives them a career edge among any other Filipino professional working in the country. Abroad Filipino deal with different Filipino from different religions, race, races, and cultures, and give them a unique advantage. Plus, the kind of opportunity for professional growth abroad are plenty compared to the Philippines. This reinforces the finding of Natividad 2012 that Filipino go abroad because of the enhancement of career and professional market ability globally. We're in a state that nowadays the world is very competitive, that having international experience gives Filipino bigger career advantage among other professionals. Curiosity. According to Natividad 2012, one of the reasons why Filipino work abroad is to have experience to travel and experience abroad. Working abroad gives the perfect opportunity of the working Filipino to travel and experience life overseas. Filipino professional personal ambition or goals since childhood can be also drawn out as a reason why they choose to work abroad. It gives them opportunity and the confidence to pursue and realize their own ambitions. It may not seem to be a valid reason, but the same should be counted as in reality. Working abroad gives Filipino the edge to earn more and offer them more possibilities of advan- advancement that what they can find in the Philippines. Common risk cost of overseas Filipino employment. abuse, and violence. Both both male and female OFW at, are at the risk of the possibility of violence, abuse, trafficking, and false accusation. Further, the possibility of OFW to by terminated because to failure to meet the standard for proper work set by their employees is more likely to occur. The tendency of foreigners to treat Filipinos as low contribute to set a fear of the OFW. The OFW suffer discrimination, the lack motivation to complete their task offers, the loss of morality and the loss of productivity also take place. Also, the lack of protection of OFW contribute to the said lingering fear. The most common work fear of overseas Filipino workers are the possibility of abuse and violence that can lead to severe physical injuries and even death. Weakened family ties. Children who are left behind are usually not guided properly. Often, Oftentimes both parents are working abroad, and the childhood would only be left under the guidance of their grandparents and relatives. Long separation creates a huge gap between the parents of children. The effect of parents' departure of toddler and preteens are worse. That's all. Thank you.